The past several WWE drafts has felt kind of irrelevant. It was once used to cause the brand split that we all came accustomed to. But since then, we've seen the brand split basically evaporate into nothing and have it be meaningless. For a while, the draft has just felt irrelevant because people just seemingly showed up on whatever show they felt like whenever they felt like. And that really severely damaged the brand split as a whole because what's the purpose of having a brand split and being drafted to a specific show for you to just show up on a different show whenever you wanted? But recently, WWE has created a concept that I think could work and either could get rid of the WWE draft as a whole or simply repurpose the draft. If you've been following along, you know that WWE has implemented a transfer window. And this transfer window, transfer portal, whatever you want to call it, I think could be the answer and could solve the brand split issue. So that's going to be the topic of today's video, is what to do with the WWE draft and what this transfer window or portal could look like. So my idea on what to do with the WWE draft is make it how it is in all the other major sports in North America. In the four major sports in North America, you have the NBA, the NHL, the MLB, and the NFL, all of which have a draft, and all of which that draft is used to bring up prospects. So if the WWE didn't want to get rid of the draft, a simple solution is make the draft for NXT only. Now, how this would look is you simply would call up NXT roster members. You would have them sign an entry-level contract to your brand, and once that contract is up, then they enter the transfer portal. Now, the one thing that I will mention is I don't think that the NXT roster is quite big enough for this type of draft quite yet, but I do think that it could work, and especially when you incorporate WWE's Next in Line program and this new WWE ID that we've got going on. I think it makes sense, and I think if you don't want to get rid of the draft entirely, simply repurpose it for NXT. Make it available for not just NXT roster members, but make it available for the Next in Line program and possibly the WWE ID program. Again, I think that's something that could work, and we've seen it work with all the other major sports. Obviously, the pipeline for the majority of them is through college. The only sport that doesn't solely use college as a pipeline for their draft would be the NHL, but even they still have a good chunk of their prospects coming from college. And considering that NXT is technically the developmental show, I think it could work. But again, the only thing that I could see holding this back is the size of the NXT roster, because I simply don't think that it's big enough. You obviously wouldn't be able to have a full 8-round, even a 6-round type of draft. It would probably have to be only like a 1 or 2 round draft, and I don't think that that is as appealing as a full-on draft would be. But again, if the WWE doesn't want to get away from the draft at all, I think this could be a good alternative and something to at least try out. Moving on to the transfer portal. So I talked about once an NXT roster member gets drafted to either SmackDown or Raw, they sign an entry-level contract, and once their entry-level contract is up, that is when you see them enter the transfer portal, and they are allowed to technically become a free agent and pick whatever show they want. This would create a lot of suspense because you would have both Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce fighting for these young up-and-coming talents. And it really seems like the WWE has tried pushing the manager-on-manager feud that we did get once upon a time. Now, if they do want to use the transfer portal full-time, it would be available for the main roster members. But the only way that I see it working is if it is used as a storyline tool. An example of this would be when Rey Mysterio moved from Raw to SmackDown because he didn't want to deal with his son Dominic and the rest of Judgment Day. And the biggest thing here is to make it make sense. Have it be part of a storyline like what we saw with Rey and the Judgment Day. And once that person enters the transfer portal and transfers over to the other show, they have to stay there for at least a year before they re-enter the transfer portal. And the transfer portal is still a relatively new concept in the world of collegiate sports, so we're still trying to figure out how it all works at the college level, and especially what I feel like is college football. As someone who watches a lot of college football, the transfer portal can be a little bit finicky sometimes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you create a very interesting story, and I think it could do the same thing for the WWE, which is obviously known for having their storylines. So I think if the WWE wants to keep this transfer portal open full time, I think it could work, and I think it would drastically improve the brand split if they want to go in that direction. So this is where I want to hear from you guys. Do you like the draft as it is right now, or do you think they could repurpose the WWE draft for NXT? And do you like the idea of having a legitimate transfer portal? And let me know what you think of my ideas for how the transfer portal could work and how they could repurpose the WWE draft. I really do think that these ideas could work, and I think it could help the brand split as a whole and kind of bring it back to what it once was. Because I really do believe that if they do bring back a hardcore brand split, I think it could benefit and bring back some Raw versus SmackDown type of feel. And again, I feel like that they've been building Nick Aldis versus Adam Pearce for a long time now, since Nick Aldis became the general manager for SmackDown. So I think that would only enhance that storyline moving forward, and I think it would just be really fun and interesting to see both Raw and SmackDown bidding for these WWE superstars and possibly NXT prospects, providing they get in the draft. So again, those are my ideas. If you agree with them, if you like them, let me know down below. Even if you hate the ideas and think that they are the stupidest thing that I have ever said, let me know that stuff down below in the comments. And while you're down there, swing by the description and click the Linktree link. That link will take you to all of the social medias for this channel, and I do strongly suggest going and checking out our X page. Besides YouTube, I am most active over on X. We do updates for Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, and the PLEs. Now, I will say for the next couple months, Fridays and Saturdays are super busy for me, so I may not always be available for Friday Night SmackDown and some of the PLEs. But providing something unforeseen doesn't happen on Monday night, I will be available for updates on Monday Night Raw. But overall, I want the X page to be a place for wrestling fans to go and talk about wrestling. Wrestling is incredible to watch on your own, but it's even better when you have people to talk to and nerd out about it. And if you're like me, you don't have a lot of people to talk to about wrestling in your life. So if you are like me and you're looking for a group of people to talk about wrestling with, swing by an upcoming episode of Monday Night Raw, join in on the conversation, and maybe it's for you at the end of the day. With all that said and done, that is going to do it for this video here. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button. If you really enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button, because both are free and both help out the channel a lot. I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video if you did, and as always, stay tuned for more content coming in the future. We'll see you next time.